Picture this, an elderly woman from Texas. Let's call her Agnes. She's worked hard her whole life, raised a family, and now, in her golden years, she's looking forward to some peace and quiet, surrounded by loved ones. Her son and his wife live with her in the house she owns outright, the house filled with a lifetime of memories. But one day, Agnes falls ill. Nothing life-threatening, but she needs a short hospital stay to recover. While she's in the hospital, thinking she'd be home in a few days, her son and daughter-in-law come to visit. They seem a bit on edge, but she chalks it up to concern for her health. They tell her they're going on a trip to Europe. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, they say. They reassure her they've arranged everything, that she'd be well looked after, and that they'll be back before she knows it. Agnes, trusting her family, wishes them a wonderful time. She gives them her blessing, never suspecting a thing. The days turn into weeks. Agnes recovers and is ready to be discharged from the hospital. She calls her son, expecting to hear his voice and arrange a ride home. But the phone just rings and rings. No answer. She tries again, and again. The line is disconnected. A cold knot of dread begins to form in her stomach. The hospital staff are kind, but they need the bed. They start talking about moving her to a long-term care facility. Panic sets in. Where is her family? She manages to get a taxi to her own home, the home she owns. She walks up to the front door, key in hand, expecting to find it just as she left it, but the key doesn't fit. The lock has been changed. Confused, she peeks through the window. Inside, everything is different. Her furniture, her pictures, her life's collections all gone. Replaced by sterile, modern decor she doesn't recognize, and then she sees them. Strangers. A young family is living in her house. Heart pounding, she knocks on the door. A man answers, looking at her with a mix of confusion and pity. She tries to explain, "This is my house." The man shakes his head gently and shows her the paperwork. The house was sold. Legally, signed, sealed, and delivered. And the signatures on the documents. Her son's. He had power of attorney. He had used it to sell her home right from under her, while she was lying in a hospital bed. The truth crashes down on her like a tidal wave. The trip to Europe wasn't just a vacation, it was a getaway. They had taken the money from the sale of her home, her life savings, and vanished. They left her with nothing. No home, no money, and a shattered heart. She was homeless, betrayed by the very person she brought into this world. Can you even imagine the depth of that betrayal? To be abandoned in your most vulnerable moment by your own child? Agnes found herself at a local shelter, surrounded by the kindness of strangers but haunted by the cruelty of her own family. Her story quickly spread through the local community. People were outraged. How could this happen? How could a son do this to his own mother? This is where the story takes a turn you won't expect. The community rallied around Agnes. Local news channels picked up the story. Donations started pouring in. But Agnes didn't just want charity, she wanted justice, and she was a fighter. She had worked hard her entire life and wasn't about to let this be the final chapter of her story. With the help of a pro bono lawyer, a sharp legal mind who was moved by her plight, Agnes decided to fight back. The legal battle was daunting. Her son had used a power of attorney, which on the surface, made the sale look legitimate. But the lawyer discovered something crucial. The power of attorney was intended for making healthcare decisions if she became incapacitated, not for selling her property for personal gain. This was a case of financial elder abuse. A gross misuse of trust. The legal team started digging. They traced the financial transactions. They tracked the son and his wife across Europe, living a lavish lifestyle on Agnes's money. They were posting their adventures all over social media, completely oblivious or perhaps indifferent to the storm brewing back home. These posts became Exhibit A in the case against them. Pictures of them sipping champagne in Paris, posing by canals in Venice, all paid for with the proceeds from selling his mother's home. The court case was intense. Agnes had to sit there and listen to the details of her son's betrayal laid bare. But she held her head high. She told her story with a quiet dignity that captivated the courtroom. She wasn't just fighting for her house. She was fighting for every elderly person who had ever been taken advantage of. She was a symbol of resilience. And then, the verdict came. The judge ruled in her favor. The sale of the house was deemed fraudulent. The title was to be returned to Agnes. Not only that, but a warrant was issued for her son and daughter-in-law, for financial elder abuse and fraud. Their European vacation came to an abrupt end. They were extradited back to Texas to face the consequences of their actions. Walking back into her home for the first time was an emotional moment. The new family, who were also victims in this situation, had moved out. The house was empty, stripped of her memories. But it was hers again. Slowly, with the help of her community, she began to rebuild. Neighbors brought over furniture. Friends helped her paint. People sent photos they had of her old belongings, trying to help her recreate the home she had lost. Her son and daughter-in-law faced justice. They were sentenced to prison time and ordered to pay restitution. Though the emotional damage was something no amount of money could ever fix. Agnes, however, chose not to be defined by their betrayal. She became an advocate for the elderly, sharing her story to raise awareness about financial abuse. She worked with local organizations to create better safeguards for seniors, ensuring that what happened to her would be less likely to happen to others. Her story is a powerful reminder. It's a story of unimaginable betrayal, but it's also a story of incredible strength, community spirit, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. It shows us that even in our darkest moments, there is hope. And it proves that the strength of one determined person can truly move mountains. Agnes from Texas didn't just get her house back. She got her dignity back, and in doing so, she became a hero for so many. Thank you for watching. If you were moved by Agnes's story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible true stories.